You ever walk through an RV dealership and wonder why some motorhomes look like they've been parked for months? Shiny, spotless, brand new, and still no takers. Well, there's a reason. Behind the banners and big sales events, some RVs just won't move. And dealers are slashing prices to get rid of them. In this video, I'm breaking down 20 motorhomes no one is buying right now. These rigs are stuck on lots, soaking up financing costs, and becoming a real headache for dealers across the country. Some are overpriced, others are outdated. A few just flat out missed the mark. But for savvy buyers, these are the rigs where deep discounts are hiding. If you know what to look for. Let's kick it off with number 1. The Thor Windsport. The Thor Windsport is one of those rigs that seems like a great idea on paper. Mid-tier Class A motorhome, decent floor plans, and plenty of features. But once you dig into it, the cracks start to show. It's stuck in a strange middle ground. It's not cheap enough for first-time buyers, and it's not nice enough for folks chasing luxury. That in-between position leaves it stranded while buyers either go cheaper or step up to something flashier. Interior styling hasn't kept up with the competition either. Some units still have dated color palettes and odd trim choices that make the coach feel older than it is. On the road, handling can be clunky, especially for folks new to Class A rigs. And let's not forget the fuel mileage. It's not friendly to long-haul travelers. Dealers are sitting on these for months. Some are offering massive discounts. Others are quietly moving them to auction. If you find one with heavy markdowns and you're okay with some of the compromises, it might be worth a look, but it's clear the Windsport just isn't hitting the mark for today's RV shopper. The Winnebago Adventurer used to be a name that turned heads. A classic Class A gas coach that once stood for comfort and quality. But in 2025, it's feeling a little past its prime. Buyers are walking in expecting modern tech, sleek interiors, and diesel-level refinement. What they're finding instead is a coach that still leans heavily on early 2000s design language, both inside and out. Yes, it's got solid bones. The chassis and drivetrain are dependable, but the interior layouts can feel bulky, the decor is dated, and when you stack up the monthly payments against a newer, more stylish competitor, the Adventurer starts to lose steam. The other issue? Ride quality. It's a big, heavy gas coach. It handles like it. And with fuel prices creeping up again, that's a big turnoff for weekend travelers and retirees looking to stretch their budget. Dealers are cutting prices hard to move these off the lot. Some have been sitting for over 180 days. If you can snag one at the right price and you're not too concerned with looks or handling, it's not a terrible buy. But for most modern shoppers, the Adventurer just doesn't deliver enough for the money. The Georgetown 3 Series from Forest River was supposed to be an easy entry point into Class A living, but it landed awkwardly. It's not quite budget-friendly, and it doesn't bring enough luxury to feel like a serious upgrade. That leaves it stranded in the middle, which is exactly why dealers are having a hard time moving these units. Buyers who tour a Georgetown 3 often walk away unimpressed. Materials feel basic, interiors lack refinement, and the ride isn't as smooth as you'd expect for the price. The cabinetry, flooring, and seating all feel a step behind, especially when compared to rivals in the same price bracket. It also suffers from the monthly payment problem. Shoppers who get financing quotes quickly realize that, for just a bit more, they could have something with more brand recognition, better resale value, or diesel power. And when money's tight, close counts. These coaches often sit on lots for 5 to 6 months or more, racking up floor plan interest charges. Dealers start throwing in steep incentives just to make room. If you're hunting a deal and don't mind a few trade-offs, the 3 Series could be your backdoor into Class A travel. Just go in with your eyes open. While thousands of Americans turn to RVs out of desperation, many cities are responding not with compassion, but with enforcement. Across the country, municipalities are passing strict laws that make it nearly impossible to live in a vehicle without facing legal consequences. For those already struggling, these crackdowns add a new layer of fear and instability. In places like Los Angeles, San Diego, Portland, and Phoenix, overnight vehicle bans, parking time limits, and anti-camping ordinances are becoming the norm. What used to be overlooked is now heavily policed. Some cities only allow oversized vehicles like RVs to park for a few hours. Others make it illegal to sleep in your vehicle at all, even if you're parked legally and quietly. The reasoning often comes down to complaints from nearby residents, sanitation concerns, or quality of life issues. But the result is clear. Vulnerable people are being pushed out of visible areas and forced deeper into industrial zones, remote lots, or risky situations. For many, it's a game of cat and mouse, moving from spot to spot just to avoid tickets, harassment, or worse. Some cities have ramped up towing programs, removing RVs from public streets and impounding them. The Coachmen Leprechaun has been around for decades and built a loyal following. But lately it's falling behind. It's a mid-range Class C motorhome that's being outpaced by both budget rigs and more upscale competitors. And buyers are noticing. The Leprechaun's floor plans are solid but not exciting. Interiors can feel cramped for families, and the storage isn't quite where it needs to be for longer trips. The materials and finishes haven't aged well either. Some of the trim and cabinetry choices look like they haven't been updated in a decade. That wouldn't be a huge deal if the price reflected it. But in many cases, it doesn't. The problem for dealers is that buyers walk in, look at the monthly cost of a Leprechaun, and then wander over to a Winnebago Mini Winnie or Thor 4 Winds and see more value. That leads to aging inventory and deep discounts just to clear space. It's not a bad RV. It's just overpriced for what it offers. If you catch one heavily marked down, it could be worth considering. But at full sticker, the Leprechaun's appeal fades fast. The Thor Chateau is one of those Class C motorhomes that's been around forever. But lately it's starting to show its age, and buyers aren't biting like they used to. The Chateau once represented dependable value, but the 2025 models feel stuck in the past. Step inside, and you're greeted by upholstery and cabinetry that wouldn't look out of place in the early 2000s. Handling on the road is serviceable, but not exactly smooth. Add in the fact that fuel economy hasn't improved much over the years, and it starts to feel like an old-school RV in a new-school market. For families trying to stretch every dollar, that's a red flag. The biggest issue? Price? The Chateau isn't cheap anymore, and when buyers compare monthly payments to newer competitors like the Coachmen Freelander or Winnebago Mini Winnie, the Chateau struggles to justify its tag. Dealers are watching these units sit for months, piling up interest costs and eventually chopping prices just to get them off the lot. If you're okay with dated design and don't mind some handling quirks, you can find a steep deal. But most shoppers are walking away, leaving the Chateau stuck in neutral. The Forest River Sunseeker has a strong reputation, but lately, that name alone hasn't been enough to move units. In fact, it's one of the most overstocked Class C RVs out there right now. Why? It boils down to oversaturation and inconsistency. The Sunseeker comes in so many different floor plans and trims that it creates confusion for buyers. Some trims look sharp with nice finishes. Others feel stripped down and dated, even though they're priced the same. That inconsistency hurts confidence, especially when buyers are already overwhelmed with choices. Then there's the volume problem. Dealers ordered big during the boom years, and now they're stuck with rows of unsold Sunseekers. Even deep discounts aren't always enough to move them, because they're competing with their own inventory. Ride quality and interior space are fine, but nothing that sets it apart. And when buyers are spending big money, they want to feel like they're getting something special. The Sunseeker doesn't always deliver that. Unless you find a dealer desperate to cut loose inventory, it's hard to get excited about this one. Forest River needs to tighten up the lineup if they want to regain traction. The Gulfstream BT Cruiser is a classic case of a motorhome caught in a confusing middle. It's often marketed as a Class B+, not quite a van, not quite a Class C. But that plus label creates more questions than answers for buyers. It's too big to offer true van life agility, but too small to satisfy families who want room to stretch out. That makes it a tough sell in either direction. Solo travelers looking for nimble rigs usually lean towards Sprinter conversions. And families often just go full Class C for more space and features. Even though Gulfstream has been around for decades, the BT Cruiser doesn't enjoy the same brand loyalty as Winnebago or Thor. And with newer models from other manufacturers offering fresher interiors and better tech, the BT Cruiser ends up feeling like an oddball, especially with a price tag that doesn't scream value. Dealers struggle to explain who the rig is really for, and buyers often pass it by in favor of something more clearly defined. The result? These units sit for months. If you see one on deep discount, negotiate hard. It's likely the dealer is eager to move it. The Thor Axis is a motorhome that tries to be too many things at once, and it shows. Marketed as a recreational utility vehicle, the Axis blends Class A style with Class C size. On paper, it sounds like a clever solution. In reality, it lands in a weird middle ground that leaves buyers confused and hesitant. It's smaller than most Class A rigs, but it's priced just as high. The interiors, while modern, feel a bit cramped. And when people get behind the wheel, they expect a smooth Class A ride. Instead, the Axis often delivers a stiffer, louder experience, especially on longer highways. Its unique dimensions also limit layout options, so space isn't always used efficiently. Buyers expecting big lounge areas or full-sized bathrooms are often disappointed. And for the price? They start eyeing full-size Class Cs with better comfort, or diesel pushers offering more value per dollar. Thor has pushed the Axis hard as a versatile option, but the message hasn't resonated. Dealers report long inventory aging and heavy discounts just to create space. If you love the look and feel of the Axis, you can get a deal. But most buyers just keep walking. The Coachmen Beyond targets a premium niche in the Class B market, aiming to woo travelers with upscale interiors and sleek design. Built on the Ford Transit chassis, it's meant to compete with the best in the van world. But it's been struggling to land. The issue? Price versus practicality. This van often pushes past $150,000, which puts it squarely in competition with larger Class C rigs that offer more living space, better storage, and full bathrooms. For couples or solo travelers with a high budget, it can make sense. But for families or anyone planning extended trips, it's just too tight. On top of that, the features, while stylish, don't always justify the cost. Buyers sit in the Beyond and quickly realize they could get a similarly priced rig with more functionality elsewhere. It ends up feeling more like a luxury toy than a full-time solution. Dealers have these sitting longer than expected, and the floor plan limitations make them tough to move. Discounts are growing, but the high base price still makes buyers pause. If you're shopping for a Class B, this is one to negotiate aggressively, or skip in favor of something with more bang for the buck. The Winnebago Solis Pocket is aimed squarely at the minimalist van life crowd, folks who want simple, compact, and road-ready. Built on the Ram ProMaster chassis, it offers a no-frills setup with a bed, a small galley, and a basic toilet solution. But while it checks the box for simplicity, the price doesn't match the bare-bones approach. We're talking about a compact van that often lists for over $90,000, and that's before add-ons or fees. For that kind of money, buyers start comparing it to full-size Class C rigs that offer real bathrooms, more storage, and space to stretch out. The Solis Pocket lacks creature comforts that many weekend warriors and full-timers expect. There's no permanent bathroom, limited insulation, and the compact size makes it tight even for one or two people. It's a niche rig for die-hard minimalists, and that's a small pool of buyers. Dealers are watching these units age on the lot, knowing that once excitement fades, the price tag is hard to justify. If you're serious about van life and catch one on deep discount, it might be worth a look. But most buyers want more value for their dollar, and that's why the Solis Pocket continues to sit. The Thor Outlaw is bold, it's loud. It's a toy hauler in a motorhome shell, blending garage space with living quarters in both Class A and Class C formats. But that uniqueness is exactly what limits its appeal. Not everyone needs a garage for motorcycles or ATVs. And for buyers looking at RVs primarily for travel and comfort, that garage just looks like wasted square footage. Add in the fact that the Outlaw's garage steals space from the living area, and you've got a layout that's great for a few, but awkward for most. On top of that, the Outlaw is heavy. That extra weight drags down fuel efficiency and handling, especially in the larger Class A version. And for all the bold styling, the interior finishes are often surprisingly plain, a mismatch that turns off luxury-seeking buyers. Dealers stocked up on these thinking adventure rigs would fly off the lot post-pandemic. But reality hasn't matched the hype. These models often sit for over 6 months before the price gets slashed. Unless you're part of the niche that truly needs that garage, there are better options with more comfort and livability at the same price. The Winnebago Fuse was built to be nimble, efficient, and European-inspired. It rides on a Ford Transit diesel chassis and offers smaller Class C layouts with smart touches. But despite its promises, the Fuse quietly slipped out of production, and leftover units are still haunting dealer lots. Why didn't it catch on? For starters, the interior layouts were narrow. That made them feel tight, especially for travelers used to full-size Class Cs. Storage was limited, and the price was uncomfortably close to larger coaches offering more room, features, and stronger resale value. Buyers were also put off by the diesel platform. While efficient, it added to the upfront cost, and with diesel prices fluctuating wildly, some shoppers were hesitant to commit. On top of that, Winnebago didn't market the Fuse heavily, so it lacked the name recognition that helps move units. Now that it's discontinued, dealers are doing what they can to move the remaining stock. Some are offering big discounts, but buyers still hesitate. It's a cautionary tale. Even a strong brand like Winnebago can miss the mark. If you find a Fuse and the price is right, it could be a sleeper deal. Just know its resale story might not end well. The holiday Rambler Admiral should be a crowd pleaser. It's got name recognition, Class A amenities, and a price point that aims to sit just below luxury diesel rigs. But in today's market, that's not enough to keep it moving. The Admiral suffers from outdated styling, both inside and out. Step inside a 2025 model, and you might feel like you're walking into a coach built in 2010. The cabinets, trim, and overall design feel behind the curve. That alone wouldn't kill it. But the ride quality and power also leave something to be desired. Many buyers expecting a smooth highway cruiser instead find a coach that feels heavy and a bit underpowered, especially when fully loaded. Fuel economy is what you'd expect from a large gas-powered rig, and that's turning away budget-conscious travelers. Dealers aren't moving these units easily. They've sat for more than 150 days in many regions, especially in colder RV markets, where demand has cooled further. The Admiral has the bones of a good coach, but it's priced too high for what it delivers in 2025. Unless the styling and ride get a refresh, expect to keep seeing this one in the bargain bin. The Jayco Redhawk Special Edition tries to walk the line between affordability and reliability, and in some ways it succeeds. But in a competitive market, playing it safe doesn't always sell. This Class C coach is built on a Ford chassis, features Jayco's tried-and-true construction, and aims for budget-minded families. The problem is, the interior feels bare, and the price doesn't always reflect the stripped-down experience. Buyers expecting a great value start walking around and quickly notice thin cabinets, limited storage, and dated finishes that don't match up with 2025 expectations. In terms of driving, it's just fine. But that's the thing. Everything about the Redhawk Special Edition feels fine. Nothing stands out. And when monthly payments are nearly the same as more refined alternatives like the Coachmen Freelander, or even lightly used Class Bs, shoppers tend to pivot. Dealers are trying to sweeten the deal with free gear and markdowns, but these models are still sitting for months in many areas. If you're okay with a simple, no-frills coach and can negotiate a steep discount, it's worth a look. But it's clear the Special Edition just isn't special enough to drive quick sales right now. The Fleetwood Flair is billed as an entry-level Class A motorhome, perfect for newcomers ready to step into the big leagues. But reality has been rough for this model. What was once seen as a solid stepping stone is now sitting unsold across dealership lots. The biggest issue? Outdated design and underwhelming quality. Step inside the Flair, and you're greeted with interiors that feel stuck in the past. Laminate finishes, boxy furniture, and a layout that doesn't maximize space. Ride quality isn't winning points either. It's a heavy rig, and drivers often complain about steering feel and highway sway. Another sticking point is price. Over the years, the cost of the Flair has crept up, inching dangerously close to mid-level diesels and better-appointed Class A gas rigs. When buyers realize they could bump their budget slightly and walk away with a Winnebago or Tiffin that feels more refined, the Flair gets left behind. Dealers are marking them down hard, often offering thousands off sticker just to create space. If you're hunting a deal and don't mind a retro feel, you could do worse. But Fleetwood needs a serious refresh if they want the Flair to compete in 2026. The Entegra Odyssey enters the crowded Class C market with a badge that hints at luxury. But that's where the confusion starts. Buyers expect high-end features and design, but what they often find is a coach that feels nearly identical to the lower-priced Jayco Redhawk. That's no coincidence. Entegra is part of the Jayco family, and the Odyssey shares much of its DNA with more affordable models. Sure, there are slight upgrades in trim and branding, but those marginal differences don't justify the significant price jump. Shoppers quickly notice they're paying more for a logo and not much else. This overlap makes the Odyssey a tough sell. When buyers realize they can get nearly the same layout and finish for thousands less, they walk away. Dealers are left holding units that look good on the lot, but don't deliver enough wow factor inside to close the deal. Inventory aging on these is creeping past 150 days in many markets. Discounts are now part of the sales pitch, but even that may not be enough. Until Entegra creates a more distinct offering, the Odyssey risks fading into the background of a crowded, competitive market. The Forest River Rockwood Roo is a hybrid trailer, combining the lightweight towability of a small travel trailer with the pop-out canvas sleeping sections you'd find on a tent camper. It's a creative concept that appeals to a very specific kind of buyer. Unfortunately, that buyer is becoming harder to find. The Roo's big selling point is flexibility, but that's also its biggest weakness. The canvas ends are prone to temperature swings, moisture issues, and road noise. And in a market where buyers are chasing full, hard-sided comfort, those canvas extensions start to look like a step backward. Another issue is price. While it may seem budget-friendly at first, many Roo models creep into the same range as fully enclosed trailers, ones that offer better insulation, security, and comfort year-round. Families who walk through a Roo often end up choosing a more conventional option. Dealers have been sitting on these for 180 days or more, cutting prices just to clear space for faster-moving units. Unless you're dead set on a hybrid trailer and understand the trade-offs, this is one to approach carefully. It's a niche rig in a shrinking niche, and the discounts prove it. The Nexus Viper is a lesser-known Class B plus motorhome, that elusive segment between a Class C and a full Class B van. It promises nimble handling and upscale interiors. But on today's crowded market, it's struggling to stand out. Nexus builds its coaches with a steel cage construction that's solid, no doubt. And the interiors do look modern, at first glance. But when buyers start comparing options, they realize the Viper doesn't bring anything groundbreaking to the table. It's priced similarly to better-known names like leisure travel vans or even high-end Sprinter conversions, yet lacks the brand prestige. Add to that a limited dealer network and inconsistent availability, and shoppers begin to shy away. It's tough to find detailed reviews or community feedback on the Viper, which doesn't help buyers feel confident. Many dealers who do stock the Viper are seeing it sit longer than expected. And because Nexus isn't a household name, they have to offer big incentives to generate interest. It's a solid rig, but being pretty good isn't enough in this competitive market. Without brand loyalty or standout features, the Viper is quietly fading into the background. The Coachmen Mirada is one of those Class A gas motorhomes that tries to offer a luxury experience at a mid-tier price. But it's been caught in a tight spot, and the sales numbers reflect it. The Mirada sits between entry-level and premium Class A rigs, but buyers aren't sure what it really is. Some trims offer nicer finishes and touches, but others feel like rebadged budget coaches. That inconsistency across models leads to buyer hesitation. Add in the fact that its floor plans don't always make the best use of space, and it's a hard sell when monthly payments start climbing. Ride quality and road noise are also sticking points. Many owners report a rougher ride than expected, especially on long highway stretches. Fuel mileage, as you'd guess, is typical for a gas coach, meaning not great. The Mirada hasn't kept pace with innovations in the segment, and as a result, buyers are skipping it in favor of newer, flashier options from Winnebago or Tiffin. Dealers are stuck offering huge markdowns to compete. If you catch one at the right price and know what you're getting, it might be a win, but the Mirada just isn't turning heads like it used to. There you have it. 20 motorhomes that just aren't moving. From outdated interiors to confusing designs and price tags that miss the mark, these are the units dealers are quietly desperate to unload. And if you're a smart buyer, this is exactly where you start hunting for a deal. But remember, just because something's marked down doesn't mean it's the right fit. Always dig deeper, inspect carefully, and understand why a rig's been sitting so long. Sometimes it's a steal. Other times it's a red flag. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that subscribe button and join the crew. I've got more videos coming your way, from hidden gem models to market updates and dealership tricks to watch out for. Drop a comment and let me know which RV you'd avoid, or which one you'd scoop up if the price was right. Because out here, knowledge isn't just power, it's savings. Stay sharp and I'll see you on the next one.